Hello and welcome. I've seen a couple of videos where people are making coasters where it looks like there's pearls embedded, and so I want to give that a try. It looked really cool. And for that I'm going to be using some Bond Craftor UV resin. Now before I begin, in order to do this and for it to work, since I am using UV resin, you need to be cautious as to what type of mold that you use. And I brought out a couple so I can show you what I'm talking about. So if you look at this mold, you can't really see my hands through it very well. And this one you can see a little better. And that one you can see even better. You want it to be as clear as possible so that the UV light can penetrate to cure the UV resin. So for this project I'm going to use this mold here. I'm going to put these to the side. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put down some UV resin. And I'm not making it a ton, but I need it enough that it will coat the bottom. I'm just going to push it around. And then once I do this, I am going to let it sit for a minute before I use the light or do anything additional, because I want to make sure that it doesn't start pulling together and then there's empty spots, because UV resin has a tendency to do that. You'll think that something's covered only to find that it kind of sucks it into itself and then it's actually not covered. So I'll give that just a moment and I will be right back. Okay, now that I've let this sit, I don't have any areas that are empty. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use these crystal soil water beads. This is a pack 10 grams. I use 2 packs and have this much, so 1 pack is more than enough. And they're very cheap. I think I got them for like $1 or something. I'll put a link in the summary of the video if you want to use this exact brand. But all I did is I poured them in this cup and filled them with water up to about 3/4 of the way, and then I let it sit overnight, and this is what I have. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scoop out some of these water beads and I'm going to put them down in that UV resin. Now keep in mind I did not cure this UV resin yet. I have not put any light on it or anything. Okay, the next step we're going to do is I'm going to plug in my UV light. Now your UV light, you need to make sure it's one that you could flip over and sit something on it, because that's what we're going to need to do so that you can cure the bottom of the mold. So I'm going to put that on. I'm going to flip it upside down and then I'm going to sit the coaster right on top of that. And I'm also going to use my UV flashlight on the top side in the hopes that I can ensure a clean cure. Now I know that there are some UV lights that have a top and bottom. If you have that, great. I don't, so I'm trying this approach. Now I'm going to need to do this probably for about 5 minutes. So I will do that and I will be back once it's cured. Okay, I cured the UV resin for 6 minutes and now I'm going to grab my cup and I'm going to dump these back in and hopefully we have something. Okay, now that all the water beads are out, you can see it almost makes like a honeycomb look to it. And now what I'm going to do is use this interference pink mica and this brush. I'm just going to dip that in there get some down. And then I'm just going to brush it in to each of those holes, making sure I get all around the sides. So you definitely want to pay attention to each individual hole. Alright, now I'm just going to flip it and tap lightly. I'm not tapping hard because I don't want the resin to come off from the mold. But that's how it looks so far. And now I'm going to use some casting resin to fill in the back. When the casting resin cures, it turns white naturally. You can pigment it. I'm not going to. I'm just going to leave it the way it is. And I am going to do 60 grams in total. So 30A and 30B. Alright, now I'm just going to mix this and then pour it directly into the mold. Alright, and I'm going to try to make sure I get in each of the little holes, but I'm going to just pour from one spot and let it naturally find its way. So I'm going to let this sit until it's ready, and I will be back to demold. Okay, you ready to see? Oh wow, that turned out fabulous. They really do look like pearls. I love it. And it's so easy. Very cool. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and press the bell to be alerted to future videos.